Joshua in North Carolina. What do you know about David Sammartino and why wasn't he more successful? David Sammartino was actually part of one of the more infamous matches in WWF history. That's probably what I remember him most for. If you couldn't figure it out, David Sammartino is the son of former WWE champion Bruno Sammartino, Hall of Famer. I mean, no one is topping Bruno as far as the total number of days or the length of a single title run. What was it, 8 years? 7 or 8 years he was the champion the first time, and then they gave him like another token run. It was just a measly little 3-year run. Just 3 years, that's all. So no one is topping Bruno, but David was his son. And here's the thing about David. He wasn't his father, and that hurt him. There was nothing flashy about him, but there was nothing terribly interesting about him either or charismatic about him. Vince brought him in for one reason. He brought him in because he wanted Bruno around. Bruno stuck around because of his son. He thought he could help get his son a push, right? Not the first time we have a case of, nepotism in wrestling, and it certainly won't be the last. He was looking out for his boy. He thought, okay, if me sticking around and being an announcer and, still doing things which he didn't really want to do, if it might help my son, then fine, I'll do it. Vince wanted Bruno to come out of retirement, which he did for a few matches, which he later said he regretted doing. His last match, I think, was a tag team match with Hulk Hogan, who stood for everything that he didn't. Hogan stood for everything this man hated. And his last match was standing next to him posing after they won. They did a tag match together. It was in, I think, the summer of '87 or something. But Vince got what he wanted out of it. If that meant keeping his son around, then so be it. That's the only reason David wrestled Brutus Beefcake at the first WrestleMania, because it got Bruno involved. David spent most of his time beating prelim guys on the bottom. He never got a real push. The infamous match I was talking about was his last match there. It was in '87. And it was against Ron Shaw. Ron Shaw, it was weird because Ron Shaw did a shoot interview, and I don't know if it was on, maybe it was Hannibal's YouTube channel a few years ago. It wasn't that long ago. And I came across it, and I know a little bit. Ron Shaw, he was an enhancement guy. He was a journeyman wrestler. It was, nothing major. But I looked at him and I said, the guy looks good. He doesn't look haggard or anything like that. I went and I looked up what he used to look like. And somebody had an analogy, and it was actually the perfect analogy. And it was something like Ron Shaw, when he was, I guess he would have been probably, in his 30s? Maybe late 20s, early 30s. When he was in his 30s, he looked like he was in his mid-40s. And now that he's probably close to 70 or something, he still looks like he could be in his 40s. It's like the aging process slowed down with this guy. He still looks the same, more or less. Good for him. The fact that he's even still alive from that era should be considered an achievement today. The fact that he's still kicking. But it was against Ron Shaw. And David was supposed to beat him, of course, because Ron Shaw always lost. David had other ideas. And he told Shaw before the match, he said, "You're going to get me in a bear hug, and I'm going to submit." And that's what happened. He gave up in a bear hug. And the fans, even then, this was in '87, they started chanting bullshit. They announced Shaw as the winner. Gorilla Monsoon was doing commentary. He refused to believe that he submitted. Even after they showed a replay, he refused to believe that David Sammartino gave up. The man is flailing his arms around at the referee. He still would not acknowledge that he submitted. And Gorilla was friends with Bruno. He was trying to protect his boy. He didn't know what was going on. As soon as the match was over and they went to commercial, he sprinted to the back to go find out what the hell happened. But David knew, they're not going to do anything with him. They have him beating the same low-level guys over and over again. He had probably wrestled Ron Shaw, fucking a dozen times at that point. So he took matters into his own hands. It was like a reverse Montreal Screwjob. It'd be like if Brett had started furiously tapping out the minute that Shawn Michaels turned him over in the sharpshooter. But after that, he still wrestled sporadically here and there, but that match in '87 was basically the end of his career, at least nationally. He never did anything of note after that. That was pretty much it.